All right, let's run through an overlay, an interesting overlay with the idea that we are in reality looking through a small portal of an omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent being, meaning all knowing, all powerful, and everywhere present. And our experience in this reality is the understand, like being with it, being it and connecting to it, that entity, God, people call it the Great Spirit, whatever you want to say it, but just the overlay is that what we are is limited from this all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present. So how can we verify this? How can we look at this from a different point of view? Like, what would give us the most out of our ride? How could we use this information to move along and help us out in reality? Because we are playing within stories, but then we can create stories inside of our own heads, inside of our own minds, by what character we're going to be. So let's just take the all-knowing. Well, if I'm part of the all-knowing, and that means that I am going to continue to know more things as I go through time. It's kind of our progression as maturing as human beings. But let's look at how we can look at that in the all-knowing and then having more and more information. So we can do it by building an identity. We can build it with this mind inside of our minds, thinking about who we think we are. And then we measure ourselves against the other people. And then we consider what we're considering and constructing in our mind is this character who we think we are. And then we play, in order to keep some kind of stasis, we will play mind games with our value, our worthness, like how worthy we are, to what group we're a part of, all kinds of elements that we have to monitor every day with our mind to make sure that our character is finding some kind of stasis so that we are semi-enjoying the ride. But our character is always at risk of being found out, and so the mind has to keep evaluating and making value judgments in order to keep this character alive. Well, how much is this kind of character going to experience is if all the time that they're spending is trying to figure out what character they're playing. So what happens, we could see that as like having or what happens as we look through the portal of all knowing. Then what we are getting a sense of from that point of view, within the all knowing, and what is coming to us is how we fit in and how we're creating a narrative within that system and the way that we do that. So we're using the knowledge that we're picking up in order to create and make sure and maintain the character and where they fit within the collective idea of what it means to be a human and who am I in this and the status games and should we have leaders, blah, 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 all of that stuff. So what if we wanted to tap into that knowing from a different position? We could drop the identity thing and we'll just figure out what's going on, to absorb knowledge along the way. And so how could we do that? Well, we'd just take the relativity point. When you have an identity, you have to start with, I need to build worth and I have to find worth within the status that I choose to do. So without an identity, we just say, okay, I was meant to be here. Everybody else is meant to be here. They're all just playing different characters. And so we then come from the relativity point when we're not doing the identity thing. We come from the relativity point is I'm 100% worthy, they're 100% worthy. And then how do we put the story together? Well, then what we would understand is if we are peering through the sense of the all-knowing, then our knowing will be, we will know that as we move through time from here to there, as we move through time, we're going to be absorbing more knowledge. And what we will end up doing is, if we come to the relativity point that everybody is worthy, rather than playing the status game in our minds, then we're just collecting data on what kind of character I'm playing. And we don't need to get, like, I don't need to know exactly who I am, but I can get a sense of, oh, this is what this character's getting to know about the world, what their ride is like what is the experience, and then I just get to have the experience, and I can enjoy then just absorbing more information from all the people sending me information, and me it being reflected back. We're all just mirrors to each other. So then let's talk about the all-powerful part. And if we flip the overlay of the identity on it, then the identity aspect, what it will do is it will use that power to peer through that entity, is it will use that power to make itself feel powerful. So whatever narrative I'm telling about my status as the character I'm playing, then is I'm using the power, and only the power of my mind, to feel powerful. So in that sense, I need to either find a way to control people, or I need people to be controlled by the story that I tell from behind my computer. Who's the bad guy? Who should we bring down on the status? Oh my gosh, in the news was this. We need to bring that person down. And that story is just making those people feel good. It makes us feel good within that story. So what happens when we take the lens of the identity and stop building an identity, and we just say, I'm 100% worthy, they're 100% worthy, they are my mirrors, and I am coming from the place of all powerfulness. And so my character, if I'm playing my character without the identity, then I am just going to feel that power come through me. And then we figure out where that shows up in the world and in life. And so another idea came up around omnipresence. So if we are also omnipresent, then how do we take that? Is if I'm trying to build an identity and I'm trying to make some character within reality, then it's going to be based upon either the people right around me or the relationship that I project out into, let's just say politics, federal politics, because that's projecting yourself way out there. And then we feel into, again, our character then that is creating all this status is trying to work out the story so that we feel good about what's going on. And the thing is that it's always our relative ride is going to be dependent upon where we feel our presence within the world. And so if you already can see, then we can drop the identity when we say, okay, this character, whatever growth this character that I'm no longer measuring myself in the powerfulness. I'm no longer trying to use the character to absorb information. So now I'm not going to the omnipresence, meaning that I know that I'm connected to everything, and that everybody around me is a mirror, but it's not even It isn't even just the people over there, it's everywhere present. So any change that happens within myself, whether I feel it to be growth, and hopefully I'm feeling it to be growth, the gift is being delivered. I just don't know where it is. And I'm not going to spend my life trying to figure out where it is. I just know that I'm making the best of looking through the lens of all knowingness and absorbing as much information there. I am going to play in the powerfulness of the all powerful, and without measuring, and then understanding that I'm everywhere present. So it doesn't matter if I'm getting the likes or on my social media. It isn't going to matter. I just know that if I can feel a shift in who I am and the character, and I'm resonating at a higher frequency, and because I am experimenting with life, I am not holding on to beliefs, I'm letting go of beliefs of a lower magnitude. And as I do that, I'm raising my frequency. And that is just shifting the world that I'm experiencing and the world that everybody else is experiencing as well. So there's something to think about.